Hello everybody, and welcome back to another one of Wednesday's vlogs. My name's Taylor Bluemel, and today we'll be looking at my first roll of Portra 400. Now, this is my second roll of film, but it's my first roll of Portra 400, and it's also my very first roll of colored film. I've heard that shooting color is a lot harder, and I don't know if it's the light meter or if it's the developing process quite, but I definitely have to say it was a lot harder than shooting on the first roll of black and white that I did. My results were a lot grainier. I was shooting more towards golden hour. All of my shots were around that golden hour. There were only a couple that were closer to midday, but everything's a lot grainier, and in the results I've seen of other Portra 400 shots, I wasn't expecting this level of grain. Another issue that arose while shooting with Portra 400 is that my light meter seemed to be reading everything wrong. When I was at an exposure that I thought I should have been at, it was reading completely overexposed. So I would dial everything way down, and my shots were about a little darker than I was expecting, I have to say. So I do think on the next roll I'm gonna have to overexpose based on the meter a little bit more than what I was doing, if that makes sense. I do think that if I would have exposed everything a little bit brighter and just kind of ignored the light meter a little bit more, I think there would have been less grain. But with that being said, I still do enjoy this grain. I don't think it's a bad grain. It's not this digital noisy crap. It's just more prominent than my first roll of film. Now, some of the pros I do have to say is I did finally get my hands on a 35mm lens. This doesn't directly go to the roll, but my first roll was 70 to 200 on this kind of broken lens. It's just really refreshing to pop a 35mm lens on and run around town. And then the last kind of problem that came up was, since I was filming during golden hour, the light off of my lenses from the exterior was actually reflecting onto the eyepiece right here. So I couldn't see my image. I could see the light meter, but I kind of had to do this like weird finagling of my hand, and my glasses are kind of scratched up from this metal eyepiece. I either need to get contacts or a rubber piece so that I can actually see through the viewfinder, because I'm having to get focus with my glasses on, and then I have to push my glasses up, get exposure, and then take the picture. And I mean, by the time you've done that, you might as well have just like sat down, had a picnic, and not even taken a photograph until 15 minutes later, right? I'm exaggerating quite a bit, but if you're doing some street photography, you're missing a lot of moments unless you're just hip firing. So if anyone has a good solution to that, I would really like to know, because that has been my #1 complaint, and I really want to resolve it. I'm very spoiled with having a screen on my Sony a7S Mark II, and I don't have that luxury, so I really want to find a workaround. But enough with the problems, and let's jump into some of these photos. So this photo right here was the first photo I took, and you can see how prominent the grain is throughout the image, and I think I missed focus just a tad, but doing the whole flipping back and forth between my glasses and no glasses is really an issue. I still like this image. It's not quite what I was wanting, but I just wanted to see how this film held up with a bright spot in the background and a bunch of dark shadows in the foreground. Now, this next photo wasn't the second photo I took with this roll. It was just a landscape of a lake that we were staying on a couple weeks ago. And I just thought it was really cool. I set the lens to infinity. I think I had it around f8, and I just snapped away. Turned out really nice. I really like the colors that came out. Now, these next series of photos are all kind of this street photography. I was at f2.8, and I had a little bit slower of shutter speed. So these are all kind of soft, but I still like the results I got from them. So this first one, I was just waiting for the crosswalk to come on, and I just decided to snap a quick shot of this intersection, because this one always is kind of a weird intersection for me. The road kind of does this curvy thing. I don't know. It's really, you have to stand there to kind of take in the oddness of this intersection. I don't know how to describe it. It's just very weird. This photo right here has to be my favorite photo from the entire roll of film, besides maybe 2 other photos. There are 2 other photos that I think kind of stand up with this one. This is my friend Alex. He was just looking around in Pioneer Square. There was a bunch of crows flying around. You can't see them in this photo. Even though there's like 50,000 crows in the sky, there's the one spot that they weren't actually in. This photo was definitely a little out of focus, but I love how Portra 400 handled the color in this one. Just the whole vibe of the tungsten lights with the blue sky in the background, all just kind of glowing off of the wet ground. I just love the whole vibe of this photo, even though it's a little out of focus. But this photo right here to me just feels like downtown to me. This next one, I wanted to capture someone walking down this path and using all of the different lines to kind of draw you to that center of focus. I wasn't sure where I wanted my actual point of focus for the person walking to be, and since I had to keep flip-flopping my glasses on and off, I just wanted to set the focus on the foreground and have the background be a little bit out of focus. I still think that these lines really do draw you to the point of focus right where he's walking, and I love this lens actually. It is a little bit softer, I feel, but just all of these weird little bokehs around the whole frame, they are all just so unique. It might be that my shutter speed was pretty slow, so that could have caused some different intricacies about them. Now these next series of photos were taken with my buddy under the Fremont Bridge. And the one thing I wanted to capture but I just didn't is the massive size of this bridge. There's like 5 highways that get fed into it on each side. And on top of that, it's a double stacked bridge. So there's cars driving on top and on below. This is one of my favorites from the bridge series. It's not my favorite, it's probably like number 3. I'll show you number 2 next, but this one I just like all of the strong, hard leading lines bringing you to the bottom right of the frame and just positioning him a little off left there. I think it's a bold image and I definitely like all of those leading lines. Portra 400 definitely has this really nice low contrast vibe, and there's not a whole lot of saturation to it, but the blue still pops enough. It almost feels like a watercolory, reminiscent vibe to me. That's really what I feel when I look at all of the different photos that I've gotten from this roll. So this is my second favorite photo from the bridge series, we'll call them. My buddy was contemplating on getting down. He had jumped down something in a similar fashion and kind of injured himself, so he was really taking his time. But I thought his legs dangling would really make for some nice negative space with the clouds. And then this photo right here is my favorite from the bridge series. Just seeing all of the lines pull you to that bottom left focus, and then we have that strong leading line with the bridge and his eyes pulling us up to where he's about to go. It's a really effective photo, and I think that I really nailed framing on this one. And on top of that, I think it's actually in focus too, so I mean, we're making some pretty major moves in this photo. And then this is the last photo we will look at and kind of give a little quick description on. This is kind of similar to the first bridge series. I just really like, again, all of those strong leading lines pulling into the focus. And he's got this really edgy look on his face. Portra 400 is, again, handling the shadows and highlights really well. I definitely think I'm gonna pick up another roll. So now that we've looked at a bunch of photos from this roll, I think it was only about maybe less than half of the roll. A lot of the other ones were kind of out of focus or just people who didn't want their image shared. So I think what I'm gonna do next time is really test it in just the harsh daylight, maybe a little closer to golden hour, but I don't want to get too dark in golden hour. I want more of that light, and I want to actually stage subjects out in nature or something. Definitely looking at these bridge shots, there's less grain than in the city, so I think that Portra loves light, and it really thrives on that. So shooting in light is going to give you the best results out of this. I also need to find a solution to shooting with glasses, or I just don't want to buy contacts. They kind of freak me out. Libby always gets them stuck behind her eye or something, and that's just like the weirdest thing to me. I don't know. I just rather throw my glasses on and deal with it. But if you know any solutions, let me know. But that's it for this vlog, everybody. I hope you enjoyed looking at my results of Portra 400. I really enjoyed shooting with this roll. I've got, what's my next roll actually? One sec. Oh, that's right. That's right. So my next roll is Tri-X 400 film. Now this film is known for really contrasty black and white negative film. So you get this really documentary and edgy vibe. So I think I'm definitely gonna hit the streets and do some street photography with this roll. If you have any other suggestions on different rolls I should try, definitely let me know down in the comments below. And if you have any recommendations on shooting on 400 TX or on Portra 400, let me know, because I am definitely open to criticism. I haven't been shooting film long. This will be my third roll of film, so this is a learning process for me. But with that all being said, I'll leave you with some final photos, and I will see you all next time.